Hello everyone and welcome. If you can hear me loud and clear, please do let me know in the comments box by just saying yes, or if you're on Facebook, just by giving me a thumbs up. Okay, so if you can hear me, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up or a yes in the comments box so that we get started on a good note. Okay, so I can see a yes here from Keith and Wayne. Awesome. Hello everyone and welcome to our Divi website review show. Every Saturday I do a live stream where I talk about or discuss and review websites that you submit. So if you'd like to submit your own website for me to review, please do so by clicking the link in the video description below. So all you have to do is to add your name and your website address, and I'll add it to the queue. And I'm doing these reviews in the order of how they were submitted. So please be patient if I haven't come to your website yet, because there's quite a lot of websites that I need to review. But I try to go through 4 websites every show. So again, this show is on Saturdays and also on Wednesdays at the same time. That's 11 a.m. Eastern. No, sorry, 11 a.m. GMT or 6 a.m. Eastern. Okay. So already here, I can see quite a lot of you. We have JR, we have Monique, Tatiana, Yosef. We also have Daryl Wilson. Daryl Wilson, thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate that. Wayne is also here. We also have Keith and Mark. Awesome. Great. Okay, so as I mentioned, I have 4 websites that I'll be reviewing today. So I'll just be going through the things that that you can improve on the websites. Now, sometimes I may come across a bit harsh, but please do bear with me. This is all coming from a good point, so I'm not there to sort of like make you feel bad, but just to help you try and improve your website. So please don't take it personal. Okay, so we're going to start off with our first website here, which was submitted by David. So this is the website. Now, first of all, when I come here on this page, the first thing that strikes me is the color. I would get rid of that tint that you've added there, David, because it just takes away the contrast and it takes away, the item that you're trying to promote or sell. And also your value proposition here, the text is way too small, and I think you could do more with describing what this website is about. So I would really revise the value proposition, your message, your main message that people get when they get to that website, and make it nice and bold. And also, I don't think there's a need for a video in this case because it's too zoomed in, as you can see. I know it's to do with eyewear, but some of these clips that you have here are way too zoomed in, so you can't really see, what is going on. So I would really tone this down. In fact, I would even use an image for this area here. Okay, so moving on. In fact, on the top here, the logo, I would do a bit more work here on the logo. And also, instead of having it in the middle, I'd rather have it on the left here so that we have enough space for our navigation. And the choice of font here, this main font that you've chosen here, I don't think this really works well with eyewear, because eyewear, I know it's something that can be stylish, but I think the font doesn't really work there. So I think that's something that you need to take a look at and revise. And also the logo as well. I think it doesn't really look professional the way you've put it up there. And as you can see here as well on the logo, you have 2 fonts that you're using there. I would, revise that as well. Okay, so moving on, when I scroll down here, I can see that you've used the same font throughout here as your titles. There is consistency, yes, but for some reason over here, the text is now smaller. So if you're going to use a font as a title, you want to have it consistent as in the size, okay? And as I mentioned, I would change this font completely. Now, when we come to the body text, the body font here that you've used, the text is too small, okay? I would make this slightly bigger because it's not, easy to read And so I would make that slightly bigger. Now, scrolling down here, I can see you have this main large image. Again, this is a no-no. Don't use images that are low res. This one right here is not working because, you know, it just screams that whatever your brand is or what you're trying to sell is not very professional because, you know, the image is pixelated. Okay, and moving on here, these blurbs, I mean, these testimonials that you have here, try and have an image that goes with it. And because right now we can see that this is straight off the Divi default testimonials. So I will change this and try and customize it and make it, you know, totally different. Okay. And again here, the choice of words, don't be shy, drop us a line. I mean, I wouldn't use don't be shy, to be honest, because first of all, when someone gets to this website, there's nothing, you know, to be shy about when it comes to getting your glasses. So I would really change this text right here. And also, as I look at this website, I don't see a color palette being used. So what I'll do is I would choose a color palette which has colors that are perhaps complementary. And this is what I would use, you know, throughout the whole website, because right now I can see a lot of blues, but I don't see like a color palette being used in several places on the website. Okay, now before I move on, I would like to also give you examples of websites that are within this niche, so you can sort of like get what I'm trying to say with this. Now, before I do that, I just want to take a quick look here and see if there's any questions. And by the way, if you have anything to comment on, please add it in the comments box so I can talk about it as well. Okay. Mark says, what resolution do you suggest for full screen images in terms of pixels? I will go for full HD 1920 by 1080. I've been using that for a while and that seems to be working fine. So that's what I would use. Okay. Let's take a look here if there's any more questions. Okay, no questions so far. I'm just going to check here on Facebook as well. Okay, so if you have anything to add to this, please do add it in the comments box, and I can also, you know, read this advice. And also, if you have anything to say about this design, it would be great if you could also you know, add your comments, and I can read them out here. Kit says, can you recommend a good online color palette picker? Yes, in fact, I can go to it right now. So the one I use is coolors.co. I'm just going to copy and paste the URL here in the comments. Okay, so that's the one I use. There's also one from Adobe called, if you go to color.adobe.com, they also have one that you can use there. So let's just take a quick look here at Coolors. So this is what Coolors looks like. So you can cycle through, you know, color palettes just by hitting the space bar. So let's see. Okay, I'm just going to click a new one here. Right. So you can see here as I'm pressing the space bar, it's cycling through colors. Now these are colors that work well together. So I suggest that use this as your starting point. Okay, so moving on. Great. All right. So what I'm going to do next is to show you a website in this space of eyewear, so you can see what some companies out there are doing. And I also suggest that before you start designing your websites, you also have to take inspiration from websites within your niche. This is very important because if you just go ahead and start building your website without getting some inspiration, you know, you may start off on a bad note. So I would take some time out to really take a look at web designs within your niche for inspiration. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly show you some examples here of websites within the eyewear. Right, so right now I'm on Specsavers. So you can see here that the use of images The focus here is on the eyewear, which is fantastic. And this is like, and also the font used here, it's nice, it's clean. And this website has a lot of white space and great images. Okay, so you can see that this looks really, really professional. And this can also be achieved using Divi. Okay, take a look at that. Nice, beautiful. Okay. So the focus here is the people that are wearing the glasses. So we're going to take a look at one more. And this one here is going to be Ray-Ban. Again, the focus here is on the eyewear, which is brilliant. And the use of photography here, again, we can see it's similar to what we had on the Specsavers website. Okay, so take a look at that. And also here are the products and great imagery there, as you can see. Okay, so these are the two examples that I wanted to show you as I'm doing this review. Right, so back over here to the website. Let's go to the About page and take a look. Okay, again, on the About page, you have this same video. Oh, hang on, something happened there. Okay, this image is much better, but it looks a bit faded for some reason. So I would touch it up in Photoshop just to fix that. And then over here, again, the text is too small. So what I would do is I would go into the global settings and just set my text across the whole website, and also change this font here and the colors as well. Okay, but this image here is a great improvement on pretty much what I've been talking about. Okay, so let's go to colors to the next page on the services. Again, this page has too much text, as you can see, and it's way too small. The text is way too small. I know I've mentioned this before, but that needs to be fixed. And also, these images here, you can do by you can actually make them bigger so we can see what this is. And let's take a look at the blog. Okay, now the background image here, I'm not sure how that relates to this website, but I think more could be done here on this blog page as well. And finally, let's go to the contact page. Okay, now this is the image that is supposed to be on the main page, because it's really showcasing the glasses here, which I think is very, very important. So I would actually use this main image here for the main page, or even have a slider going on the main page. But this is the type of image that I'm referring to when I talk about having vibrant, beautiful images for your website. Okay, and then over here, I'm not sure why we have this video here. I mean, I won't go ahead and play it. But normally on the contact page, all you need to have is your contact details, as you have here, and your contact form, and also a map. But this map here, this should pretty much fill the whole section, because right now you just have, a part of it. And in terms of the layout of the page, this page is not balanced. So you want to make sure that everything is all set up correctly, so that it's easier for your visitors to navigate that page when they get to that website. So in summary, there's a lot that can be done to improve this website. So first of all, choose a good color palette. Secondly, on the main page, I would get rid of that video and use, or if you are going to use a video, use images in the video that are bright, vibrant, and also that show the product. You can also improve on the value proposition, and that is the message that people see when they land on your main page. So I would change that and put a very good call to action. And also the tint that you added on that video, I mean, that's not working. So I would get rid of that color that you've added on top of that video. And if I haven't mentioned the font, change the font size. And also on the testimonials, make sure you use, like people's faces on there. That looks much better. And when you use Divi websites, try and not use the default elements that come in the modules, because that doesn't make it unique enough. So I would go in and make those customizations. All right, David, so that's all I have. And thank you very much for submitting your website. Right, so the next website I'm going to take a look at here is Stylianos, I think that's the name. Right, so I'm just going to... Okay, now before I go to the next review, I'm just going to take a look here at the comments. Karen from Birmingham, thanks for tuning in. Karen says, can you suggest a good email pop-up or plugin, please? Divi, not Divi, Elegant Themes has a pop-up plugin in your membership. So if you go in there, you can use that one. It's quite good. So I would suggest that you use that because it's part of your Divi membership. Okay. Mark also says all content in this narrow section of the page. Isn't it better to widen the area and reduce empty white space? That's correct. Yeah, because when you are designing your page, you need to make sure that your page is balanced. So what I've noticed is either from the websites that I've reviewed, either people use too much of the width area or too little of it. So in this case, yes, I agree. It'll be advisable to just widen it up a bit. I would normally I use 1200 pixels for my width, so or 70%. So that's a good size there because when you take a look at the page on mobile devices, it also looks great at that percentage. Okay. Okay, so moving on, let's take a look at the next website. This was submitted by Stylianos. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. So sorry about that if I haven't pronounced it well. Okay, let's take a look at this website. So first of all, when I come to this website, it's great. I can see the product here, all UV natural chill, moisturizing, hydrating, smoothing. Right. I could do more here with the value proposition and also the image that we have here. The problem here that we are having is the face is cut off. This would look, the eyes and the nose, this would look much, much better if the face was shown. Now, when I look at this, it looks like the focus is on the teeth. So it looks like a teeth whitening product just by looking at this because of where the focus is and the way the image was cropped. So I would actually show more of this image because this will make this page, much, much better. And I like the way you've used the product here in the actual image. So that's good. So that's what I would change here. On the top here, yeah, the logo is fine. And as I go down here, I can see there's a shop now, about us, contact. Now, this is a UV product. And I would have these images nice and big. Showing, pretty much, the lifestyle that goes with having, good skin by using this product. So what you've done here is you've just used little images. In fact, even this image here of this family here on the beach, this would be nice if this was nice and big. And this could also work even as the main image, to be honest. So I would make these images look much, much bigger. And over here, we have all these products. I would perhaps maybe have some two columns and two rows where I'll be showing these images because right now it looks like they're all just bunched up together, and that could be improved. And over here, in fact, something that I've picked up here is we got too much white going on here. What I would actually do is I would add color to different sections. to separate this content, because right now it's just all on a white background. The only separation we get is on this footer here. Now, I'm not sure what these icons are, but this could do with maybe having a title that goes with this. I mean, I can see here there's vegan, 100% recyclable packaging, and so on. But having just a title there would work well. And okay, now before I go to the shop, again, these images here could be made even bigger because the focus should be on the product. And right now they look too small. So I would actually make this bigger. So reduce. In fact, right now you have one row. I would actually have 2 rows for this. So this would look definitely much better. Okay. And from what I can see here, you're also using 2 different fonts. This font here is not the same as this font. So again, choose one font and then choose variations of bold, medium, and semi-bold, and so on. Because right now, if you start using these different fonts throughout your page, it doesn't really, it becomes even more confusing. Right now, you have these titles here, Shop Now. I mean, this is where you could just use the same font consistently. But as I said, separate this using sections and even use background patterns, or even a faded image in the background, or even a solid color. So that reduces all this white that we have on this main page. Okay, now moving on, let's go to the About page. Okay, the use of this image right here, I think that is good. Let's take a look. Now, this section divider, I think more could be done with that because, yeah, I mean, I could have even this section here have this blue color so that it's just blending into this white one, and also it separates the content because we still have a lot of white going on. And this footer here, I mean, I would actually make this footer a darker color rather than have this blue here, and then use this blue somewhere on the website. Okay, and also, you know, when you use these images, you can see here that this image has been cut off. So try and find an image which shows pretty much more of the person rather than have it cut off. Unless you're going to use this right over here at the edge, this would look much, much better. Okay, now let's move on to the next page about sunscreens. Again, the way you've used this image, it's it looks like the focus now is on the sunglasses. So I would choose an image here that reflects what it is on this page. Okay, and I like what you've done here with the negative margins. That's not too bad. And I've noticed that the font size here is changed as well. Okay, so if I go back here to the home page, I'm sure it's changed. Yes. It's not the same font that you've used. So again, yeah, there we go. So this font here is different to what we have here on the About Sunscreens page. So you want to make sure that you use a font which is pretty much the same throughout your whole website, because that is very, very important, because right now you're showing that your website has a lot of inconsistencies. And this does not contribute to great design. So make sure that you use the same font, and this can be done globally in the theme options. If you go into the theme options, you can assign the size of your font, your headings, and also the font weight. So that's where I would do that. Okay, so let's just check here a few more pages. Okay, features and benefits. Again, you're using a different font here for your page titles. That's a no-no. And also this needs a title. Right, so let's go to the FAQs. Okay, I like what you've done here. You've tried to make it different, but again, your color now here for these titles is now different, and also the size of your body text here on the FAQs has also changed. So as you can see, it's becoming a trend now. Each page now seems to have different font, different title sizes, and so on, and different colors for that matter. So again, I don't see a color palette going on here. I would use the inbuilt Divi color palette color suggestions in the color palette and use those colors throughout, because right now I'm only seeing one color, one main or two colors being used throughout this whole website. Okay, so I would change that. Okay, now you have the same image here as the FAQ, and yet these are different items. And also here, the way these things are put together, I mean, it's very, very, oh my days. You know what? I've been doing this by not showing my screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'll just go back. I was on the FAQ page. Okay, on this FAQ page, we can see the title here that's been used is not consistent, because I can tell you right now, by looking at this website, the titles were not, this is not the same title. This is the first time this has been used on this page. Okay, so if I click here to take a look at what we have here, again, we see that this body text is not the same size as the body text that we have throughout the website, and the color as well is not consistent. Okay, so I would definitely change that. Even the size of this, I mean, this is a bit too much. I would actually make this text a bit smaller for these titles, for the FAQs. And also the use of line height here is very important. Everything here, what we have here is you're not using your line height correctly. So I would go in and adjust the line height. Okay, so before I move on to the next page, I just want to check on the comments and see what everyone is saying here. Right, okay. Mark also says here, also use a clone plugin to identify fonts you see on other sites if you like them. Called screenshots. Okay, I think you're trying to say that take a look at some websites which have the fonts that you like, and if you like them, do a screenshot. Yes, that's very important, because this all comes through, you know, the inspiration part of it. So if like what I used to do before, what I do before I design a website is I take a look at about 5, 6, or even up to 10 websites just for inspiration purposes, and getting color ideas and how color is being used in that space, and then just use that for inspiration. So this also applies to the fonts that are used, not just the color and the images and the layout. So that process, I think, is very important before you start designing your websites. Okay. Karen says it's all about keeping things uniform, fonts and colors. Absolutely. It's very, very important that these things are consistent throughout your whole website. That is what makes your website look professional. Nigel Rogers says title. All right, let me take a look here, what Rogers is saying. Okay, I'm just going to switch over here to the site. Right, okay. On this testimonial page, the use of drop shadows on this image, I don't think that's working, and I would use the testimonial module for this. And also, as you can see, the text here has also changed size. Okay, so that's definitely not working. And also here, the title of the website is not easy to read because the color is too light. So these are the things that I'm talking about. Make sure you use your color, the color contrast correctly, because it makes it easier for the website visitor to read when they get to your website. So right now, this link here should not be this color. And again, this can be adjusted in your theme options. Now over here, this divider here, it's just way too much. It's just too in your face. I would actually have these testimonials as in maybe 3 columns. and maybe even 3 rows, because this is a bit too much to go through. And then over here on the bottom, again, there's just way too much text. If there is something that you need to perhaps highlight, maybe this could be on its own page. Okay, otherwise that's way too much. Okay, resources. Okay, I like the use of this icon here, but again, we've got too much white space, and that the consistency I was talking about is now gone, because on every page we had a page title and an image behind it. So now we've lost that completely. So all in all, I could say this website lacks consistency throughout this whole site. I'm just going to take a look at a few more pages now before I move on to the next website. So here on the shop. Okay, so that's the same image that we had on the main page. And I would lay out these products in a much better way. And this image right here, I would get rid of this, because when you get to the shop page, people want to see what is being sold. And you've really pushed all this information down here to the bottom. So I would bring these products up here to the top and make sure that I have 6 products, so that my products here are balanced, because right now we have 5 and these are not balanced. And again, the font that you've used here is way too small. I would increase the size as well. So in fact, let's take a look at the contact page. Okay, I like the way the form has been added here. That's beautiful. And also the address and the phone number. This is really nice. Okay, right. So this page, to be honest, looks, I would say this is the best page throughout this whole website in terms of how it's designed. Okay, store locator. Again, here you have something wrong with the Google Maps. So again, if this page is live, make sure everything is working on this website. You don't want to have a situation where things are not working correctly on your website. Okay, so there's quite a lot of things to do on this website. Just to cover a few of them, the images used need to be high res, and you also need to show what the product, if the images relate to the product as well. And also, the fonts used throughout the whole website, they're not consistent in terms of the sizes, and also the titles. Okay, so that needs to be fixed. The colors also used on this website, I think more needs to be done on that. So try and use a color palette for this website. So there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done on this website to really make it look professional and make it look really, really presentable. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look here and see if we have any more messages. Right. Okay, so moving on. Now, this website was submitted by David. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Okay, right. So here's the website. Defacto Digital. Grow your caseload today. Right. So first of all, before I even move away from this page or this section, first of all, there's a lot of space between the text that we have here. So I would bring this down a bit. using my line height. Also, the value proposition here is not clear. De facto digital, grow your caseload today. I mean, it doesn't really say what this website is about and the benefits that I can get from it. So I would really go in and work on that. And also the image that's being used here, I can see it's pixelated even though it has this tint on it. So I would use this image without the tint. Again, I think this is going into the issue that we had with the first one where it has a tint which does not really make or bring any it doesn't make the design look better anyway by adding this tint on the website. And like I mentioned, this image here as well is not high res. Okay, so moving on here, I like the parallax used here. I think that's good. Okay, so this section here, I'll say it's fine. Oh, in fact, I'll take my words back. Right, this row that we have here is not the same width as these blurbs that we have here on the bottom. Okay, so that is very, very important. If you are going to have your content area, this area needs to be pretty much the same throughout the whole page. So you don't have a situation where sometimes you have the width being a different width and sometimes the row is a different width. So you want to make sure that everything is pretty much uniform in terms of your page presentation. Okay, now moving on, I can see here that this image here is it's like a stock image. Now, if this is your own personal website, I would actually use my own images because I can tell just by looking at this, or maybe it's just because I use Divi a lot. That's why I was able to pick this up. But yes, the way this page, this section is balanced is fine. I think this is good. Moving on. Again, over here, you can see that our area for our rows is different. So what we have here, if we have an imaginary line going down here and also down here, we see that this is totally, out of line. So this is what I would go in and fix immediately. So the rows all need to be the same width. If you're going to be using 70% or a pixel number, like maybe 1200, that needs to be the same throughout your whole website. Okay, make sure all your rows are the same size. Okay, now moving on. I think this is fine. Okay, I won't even go into the video there. Okay, moving on. This is just way too much blue for this call to action. And again, as you can see, the way this is presented, the name, last name, email, download now. I think more could be added here. Download our free Game Changer ebook. I think you need to bring more context to that ebook because right now there's just too much white space here, which I think could be utilized much, much better by adding more text in on this area here. And this color is just way too much, to be honest. Okay, featured case studies. Okay, I like the way it's set up here, but now your button is aligned left. I would actually have this button centered because everything else is centered. Okay, so it's very important that hierarchy is used correctly in your design. So I would have this button here centered. Okay, moving on. This section is fine, but I would actually use an image here that gives us an idea of what is happening here with your de facto digital company. Okay, over here we have a video. Let's see if we can play it. Okay, yeah, we can play that. That's fine. Now, just by looking at these images, I can tell that these are stock images, especially this one right here. I would use real images of your company, your company's team, because sometimes with these royalty-free websites, you can actually, see which, I mean, that these images are royalty-free images. So this is why it's important that you use images that reflect your creative team. And then over here on proven results, I think that's fine, but we've got too much blue going on here. This is why I would really use different colors on this page. There's just too much blue going on. So I would actually have this in a different color. And then moving on, the pricing table here is fine. I would actually maybe add some borders to the ones on the left. Yeah, that's what I would do here to make this really stand out. Okay, the contact section here is perfect. I like the way the form and also the address has been added onto that page. Okay, so over here, before I move away from this page, this logo is pixelated. You want to make sure that you use logos that are high res. In fact, you may want to use a vector software like Illustrator to design your logos, because this looks pixelated and it just doesn't make it look professional. So I would change that logo. Okay, moving on. I'm going to click here on the About page. Now, before we go into the About page, I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if there's any right. Karen says that is a Divi image. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's a Divi pre-made layout, all stock images. Okay, yeah, so it's all the images that we use here are stock images. Okay, now we're on the About page. So if we take a look at the About page here, again, you can see that color tint is overpowering. And just to take all this space, just to add the About page title there, I think it's just overkill. I would actually reduce this page title here, because this image here is not really bringing much benefit to this page. So this needs to be clean. It needs to be also simple, to look at. So this, I would get rid of this image altogether. It's just way too big just to add that as a title. Okay, so over here on the services, this is fine. And we have this video as well. Oh, right. This image here, I think you need to use real images for this. Yeah, something is wrong with it in terms of how, I don't know, something just looks weird. Maybe you tried to use Photoshop on this, but it doesn't look like it's proportional. Maybe it's just me, but tell me what you think in the comments box. I can see that here on the right hand is way too big compared to the left one. And the image is, I don't know, it doesn't look like, it looks like it's over-processed in Photoshop. Maybe it's just me. Post your comments in the comments box. Okay. If this is like over-processed in Photoshop, I would just use, an image straight from the camera, do a bit of color correction, and pretty much that's all you need to do to the images, because like I said, it looks really processed. Let's take a look here. Again, our call to action. This needs to be fixed because we need to fix the layout of this section. So start building your caseload now. Download this free checklist to jumpstart your. Yeah, I would really fix this and make this look much better in terms of how it's presented. Okay, the happy clients here. I like the way you've added these stars, but this would look even better if it had images to go with it. Okay. Mark also says it looks like it's been cut out from a photo, but not correctly. That's what I thought when I first saw it. Something is just not right. Mark also says invest in decent images. I would agree with that, to be honest, because there's quite a lot of places online where we can buy or even, take your own images. I mean, cameras now are really, really cheap. Even your mobile device can take beautiful pictures. The only thing with mobile devices is make sure the lighting environment is great. I would not even use the mobile device indoors. Because normally it's dark indoors unless the lighting is great, but I would take my own images. And in fact, this is a professional company, so I would invest, like Mark is saying here, invest a bit of money on images. That will really make this website look even way much better. Okay, right. So let's go to the resources page. Right, it's taking way too long to open. Again, I can see that, as I mentioned before, this page, this resources page, the titles, this is just way too much to have this image here for the title. And even though we have this tint, I can actually see through this tint that this image here is way pixelated. So yeah, the pictures are not high quality pictures. And over here, again, the size of the row is way too thin for all this information because now you have 4 columns. This is way too much. I would rearrange things here on this website much better. And it looks like this lead gen here has different designs. So far, this is the third layout that I've seen. Make sure that this is consistent throughout your pages. And one way to do this is just by creating a global section. Make sure you put all your design efforts into that one, and then just add it, wherever you need it in the inside pages. Because what you've done here is it's just having different layouts, and it doesn't make it look consistent throughout your whole website. Okay, so over here on the FAQs, take a look. Looks like that page is not working. Oh, it is. Again, we have a large image there. And your FAQ has the pricing table. Yep, your FAQ has the pricing table. And all this information that we have on this page does not relate to FAQs. Oh, there we go. So finally, we have the FAQs all the way at the bottom. So yeah, I would redo this page completely because the way it's been designed and the title is misleading. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look at 2 more pages here before we take a look at the next website. Right, yeah. So this is meant to be a login page. I don't understand. Oh, it's the client care where they log in. Okay. Let's take a look at the final page here. Again, this image is pixelated. Let's talk. Way too much information here for the contact page. Oh, this is for consultation. Right, it's a bit weird. Okay, this is the consultation page. So I guess that's okay. I will change that image again. And finally, I'm going to take a look at the contact page. Again, pixelated image. And this map should be pretty much filling the space across the section. This form is fine. It looks very professional. And the icons that you're using here, they're not the same throughout the whole website. So I would be consistent with the color and the size of the icons throughout. And as I've said before, this image here is pixelated and it's taking too much space just to describe the title of the page. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look here at the comments and Karen here has a great suggestion. Karen says, my advice would be that if you do not have an employee team, do not use the section at all. I agree 100%. Don't add information which is not complete on your website. It just makes it look unprofessional. Okay, so it's time now to move on to the next website. Something happened here. Okay, right. For a second, I thought that my streaming software had pretty much crashed. Okay, so before we continue, I would like to say if you want to submit your own website for review, there's a link in the description below. Go ahead and do that, and I'll add it onto the list of websites that I'll be reviewing. And please, for those of you that have submitted your websites and I haven't reviewed it yet, it's mainly because I haven't just got to it yet, because I've got a long list of websites that I need to review. So please be patient. And also this episode is brought to you every every Wednesday and Saturday at 11 a.m. That's UK time, and 6 a.m. Eastern. Okay. Right, and also, if you want to learn how to design websites using Divi, I have a course in the description below, so go ahead and check it out. There's a 50% discount, and just use the coupon code DV50 to get that coupon code. And also, this episode or this show is brought to you by DiviCake.com. Check out the huge selection of Divi themes, layouts and plugins. The link to that is in the description below. Right, moving on. So we've got two more to do. And this website here, oh, in fact, it's one more. Sorry about that. Right, so this website here was submitted by John. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So first of all, it just says, hello, let's see what we can do to help. Now, that is not a good value proposition. And how do I describe this? The call to action and the message that you're supposed to have there, it's not really working. Because when you get to a website, ideally, you want to communicate to your visitor what your website does and how it can benefit your visitor in 3 seconds. That should be, the time that someone gets to your website, takes a look at it and say, okay, this is for me or not. Now, that's not the feeling I get when I get to this website. So when I come here, it's like, I really have to try and work out what this is about. And the image that we have there in the background does not really relate to the message, you see. So I would really revise that and come up with a very good value proposition and an image that also supports that value proposition. Okay, so that's what I would do here to start with. Okay, I like the use of parallax there. That's nice. These icons, they're good. Now over here, we have too much white space between these titles. I would add supporting text on that. So let me just click this plus button and see what is happening here. Okay, so instead of having these collapsed, I'm sure you will all agree with me if that these look much better when they are expanded that way, because by having them this way, it looks like something is missing, and there's just too much white space between these. So I would use blurbs instead of what we have here on this page. Okay, so moving on, who we are. In fact, you know what? This who we are in description here, which says we are a small London-based group of designers, developers, photographers, and marketing professionals who got together to form. Right, I would have that here. Okay, so that will be my value proposition, and I would also actually go ahead and tweak it. Okay, so this is the message that I'll have on the top there. Contact us. I think this is way too early to contact because there isn't much information here for me to want to contact the company. So that wouldn't be the call to action for that part. So I would actually have maybe something that goes along the lines of maybe view our portfolio or take a look at companies that we work with. So that would work for that as a call to action rather than going to contact you straight away. Okay. So again, over here, our work. To be honest, this here does not scream design agency with the way this is laid out. So let me just click here and let me see what is going on here. And okay, so this is the website. This looks fine right here on the top. But I would actually lay out these websites in a much better way, because right now all you have is just the one on the top. Let's click on the next one here and see how this looks. Okay, so there we go. So I would actually have these images here of these websites in columns and rows rather than have it this way. Okay, so back over here to the main page. And also this Let's Talk, I would have all this on the actual contact page, to be honest, because it looks like you're running out of content to add onto your main page. And so I feel like you're just adding all this information here without the full thought process. And also, I don't see a color palette being used throughout this design. So I would actually implement a color palette. And if you're a design agency, normally colors that work with that are vibrant colors, you know, happy, exciting colors. So that's not what I get when I come to this website. So I would really go back, really think about the color palette I need to use. We've already spoken about resources where you can get a good color palette. The website is coolors.co and also color.adobe.com. So that's a very good resource for your colors. Okay, so let's move on to, I was just about to move on to the next page. So it looks like this is a one-page website. Well, my summary to this is more needs to be done on this website, especially now that I know it's a design agency. So make sure that you revise, you know, the images that you're going to use on this website, the fonts, the color palettes that you need to use, and also you need to spend time on your copywriting, because right now there isn't much going on your website in terms of telling people what your website is about and what it can benefit any visitor that comes to your website. Okay, so before we finalize the show, I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if there's any questions. Right, Karen here is a very, very good point. For photographers and designers, the images should reflect that. Absolutely. So your websites, what your website does or what your company does should be reflected by the images that you use on your website. So let's say you're a baking website. You need to have brilliant images of your breads or cakes or cupcakes on your actual website. So it doesn't make sense that your website does not reflect what your company actually does. So photographers, we should be able to see great photography on that page and great design, because that reflects what your company does. So very good comment there, Karen. Monique also says on the homepage, can they increase the font weight? Right. Yes, that's true. The font weight is a bit too then I would actually make it even nice and bold so that message is nice and clear when people get to that landing page. Great. Okay, so this episode is made possible by divicake.com. Check out the huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. And for those of you that haven't submitted your website yet, please do submit your website. I know sometimes the things that I'm going through here can come across harsh, but you know what? This is all to help you improve your websites and also improve your designs. Because if you take a look at all these websites that I'm reviewing, there is a trend. And if you haven't picked it up yet, it's either most of these websites are not using fonts correctly, colors correctly, images, they're not being used correctly, or the images are not high res image. There's a lack of the use of a color palette. There's also quite a lot of things that I talk about here. But I mean, I'm sure now you can start to pick out those things that are not working well. But I'm glad that you guys have joined me today on this Saturday to go through these websites with me. I really appreciate that. Now, if you want to submit your website, the link to that is in the description below. Just add your website. I'll be back again here on Wednesday, same time, to do even more reviews. What I may actually do is I'll try and increase the website that I review, because normally I've been sticking to 4. Perhaps maybe I can bump it up to about 6 so that we get to cover even more images. But anyway, I mean more websites. So let me know what you think. If you think I should increase the number of websites, do let me know, because I will respond based on your on your feedback. Okay, so to everyone that joined me today, I'd like to say thank you very much, and do join me again on Wednesday as I go through these websites. Have a great weekend, and like I said, I really appreciate you guys joining me on this show, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you again on Wednesday, same time. Take care, everyone.